Okay, things not to do with Kerdi board. I learned the hard way. So I had some guys come in and help, and after looking over my shower I realized that, well, you need studs every 12 inches. So I have studs here and way over there, and that's 24 inches. There should be an extra stud here, and they should go all the way down the shower. Same thing on this side. Also, I wasn't quite sure what to do when initially laying out the board. I went all the way to this stud, which is where the wall is. Well, I suppose it's possible that you could put a thin coat of mud on there, but it would probably be better with just drywall, so that it goes all the way down, and that way it's a nice smooth finish. I don't have to worry about this cement board or the membrane and what to do between the two different Kerdi boards. I mean, I suppose you could just use mud there as opposed to this mortar, but just that's not something that went through my head when I originally did it. I also realized these guys weren't putting these screws in places where I do have studs. On this wall there's also there's not big enough, this is 24 inches from there to there. There should be an extra stud in here, and there should be screws all the way up here every 12 inches. Another thing I noticed, and it's hard to know whether or not they put screws behind this Kerdi membrane. I hope they did, but you can kind of see this little bump. So these guys aren't lined up, which is concerning me a little bit because, well, when you tile these kinds of small bumps, you might be able to work around it with enough mud, but at the same time you risk the tiles popping off. Another thing I hadn't really thought of was what to do at these intersections after looking on, like where the board hits the ceiling. After looking online and saying it looks like you could just use tape or paper or whatever they call it. I'm not wild about the mesh, so I think I'll use the paper. But you want to get that paper and cover that corner, mud up those gaps there. And even though I've already painted my ceiling, it looks like I'm going to have to repaint at least part of it when I do that. This intersection here, I tried to use plastic, but unfortunately the holes, like the holes where you would put your screw in the plastic, are not the size of drywall screws. I mean, they're super skinny, so when you try to screw it in, all of a sudden it bows out and bends out, and so I didn't like the plastic. So then I went and got a metal corner bead and tried to use the screws there as well, but then the screws, the heads would sometimes they're still sticking out a little bit. I mean, there's a little bit of gap between this lip here on the corner bead and where the screw would go in, but I didn't find that the screws were working all that well. I mean, the heads would still stick out. So I went and got nails from Lowe's. In fact, I'll show you real fast. I got these nails, and you know what? They worked great. You can see right here, they lay flat and flush with the metal corner bead. So now I didn't do a great job, mudding this corner just because tile's going to be over on this side. But on this side you can see it looks really nice. So nails worked for me, not the screws. I did put mud under the corner bead, something I did on this side, didn't do on this side, and on this side I noticed that even when I put the nails in, there was still a little play with the edge here of the corner bead and the Kerdi board. So I'd recommend putting just a thin coat of mud on the underside before you put the corner bead on both sides. So that way when it goes on, you can kind of squish that stuff out and then nail it, and it seemed to work fine, at least on this side. So and it's a good bond, fills in the gaps. So anyway, also one more thing regarding the shower here. So at some point I'm going to put a shower door in. Well, I hadn't thought of it when I put my my shower together, because I think behind this wall, you know, right behind this wall, and probably, you know, right where that curb is, all the way up this wall, it'd probably be a good idea to have a 2x4 back there, or have some studs, right? You'd want a stud right there, and then in here, just so that when you put on your shower door, you have something to screw into. So again, I have a gap back there. Not really anything I thought of beforehand, but obviously I realize it now. So I'm not sure whether or not I'm just going to have to tear all this thing down and have someone come in and redo it for me the right way, because I'm kind of tired of doing it myself. But just wanted to pass on some lessons learned.